Park. Programming made possible by donations from the following.
The Chewelah Chamber of Commerce. Chewelah Chamber of Commerce is a voluntary nonprofit organization focused on growing our community and promoting the growth and stability of Chewelah's local economy. Chewelah Chamber of Commerce has over 200 members and supports local businesses, nonprofits, tourism, and economic development. Chewelah Chamber of Commerce offers chamber bucks to individuals and businesses. Chamber bucks stay in Chewelah and are available in multiple denominations. Chamber bucks can be used as cash in 45 different local businesses and have been used in many ways. Employee incentive programs, bonuses, birthdays, and holidays are great ways chamber bucks have been used. If you would like to become a member of the Chewelah Chamber of Commerce, or you would like more information, or you're interested in purchasing some chamber bucks, more information can be found at chewelah.org. Chewelah Chamber of Commerce is located at 401 South Park Street and is open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Friday. 509-935-8595.
This is KCHW 102.7.
KCHW and Chewelah Festivals present Winterfest 2026. Winterfest brings together local vendors, live music, bingo, kids activities, a beer garden, and a chili cook-off, all happening throughout the day. Live music includes the Veterans Pride Band, Old Souls and Antiques, ending the night with Peach Fuzz and the Power Chill. Winterfest for the Arts also takes place at the Trails End Gallery, featuring local artists as part of the Winterfest celebration. Winterfest 2026 is presented with support from Brandon Cook State Farm, Toyota, Hanson Logging, and more. Vendor and sponsor opportunities are still available by emailing ChewelahFestivals@gmail.com. We'll see you on Saturday, February 7th for Winterfest 2026 in downtown Chewelah.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to About the Arts right here on KCHW 102.7. This is our monthly art talk. We sit down with Tim Nielsen from the Trails End Gallery and talk about what's happening this month on the Art Walk. This month is the Winterfest 2026. Very excited to have Tim here with us and our guest, David Raphael Anderson, to talk about the Winterfest.
Thank you.
Welcome, you two.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good to be here.
How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
The show's up.
Pretty much.
We're organized and ready to go.
Yeah, I've been kind of, peeking in the window and seeing the progress. I saw you one time, you waved at me, but, you might see some of my nose prints on the window there a little bit. Sorry about that. But yeah, so things are looking great in there. I just walked by a few minutes ago and checked it out. It looks phenomenal. You excited?
Very.
Yeah.
Yep.
So David, now you're a judge for this year's contest, right?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. And have you been a judge in previous years, or is this your first time as a judge here?
Many years ago.
Dave
I did.
Was instrumental in the launch of this thing. He had participated and adjudicated, juried shows before. So I, got a lot of info from him about it. And he was our judge for the first 2 years, one of our judges. And, But the fun thing about Dave is I know
only one thing.
He's
just the one thing.
One of the fun things about Dave, he's retired now, professor emeritus from Clackamas Community College, where he taught drawing and painting for 25 years, among other things that he does. But it was what I've really been striving for is that the event is so much better if you have the judge talk about and present the awards.
Yeah.
In previous years, and it started kind of with COVID, that the judges couldn't make it.
Right.
And I would just read a prepared statement And I just think the artists, and me too, I get a lot more out of it to hear the process, how, and the interaction. I just think it's really good for the artist to have the judge here and giving the award. And it's a fun thing. The awards ceremony is usually standing room only. And so it's just a fun event.
And the award ceremony is tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well,
I know we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit.
I'll
We'll
go
get
over
back
there
to
a
it.
little bit
Yeah.
early just to make sure everything's set up with Nick and Alana at the brewery. And but I post that it's 6:30 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, we let people get in. Actually, a lot of people show up about 6:15. They get settled in. They get a good seat, whatever. And so as it fills up, usually around 10 to 7, we go, okay, we're going to start in about, I'll just give them heads up. Start in about 5 minutes in case someone wants to get another beverage or whatever.
Yeah.
And get ready. And then we get into it. We're set up. We've got the they bought a PA system, which is great.
Oh, cool.
So, usually I don't have a problem with my voice because I can be loud, but it's kind of nice to have. It'll be nice to have that. And then we've got the projector. We do a PowerPoint and start from our honorable mentions and work our way through to best in show. So there's a visually corresponding to Dave giving out the awards. And it's fun. And we mention our sponsors and the Chamber and Chewila Arts Guild, the Creative District, and it's just fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's fun. I think if I was an artist in it, I would think it would be validating, maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Oh, absolutely. Even just
for
to
the process.
Even just to get accepted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a little about the award ceremony. Like I said, we kind of jumped ahead to the end point here. Tell us what exactly, for people listening that don't know, what is the Winterfest for the Arts?
Well, this is our 7th annual, and initially, kind of one of my driving force behind it was just thinking creatively. How can I meet more artists? What can I create? And I wanted it juried that would. The artists are going to have to submit, and their entries, and to get accepted in or not, whatever. But kind of give it some teeth. But the fun thing with it is I've been able to meet a lot of new artists from it, and very often, kind of naturally the cream rises to the top. Now it's a fun show, and for the fact that we really get people that they're not professional, but they're very aspiring amateur artists or whatever. They want art is their thing. They're into it. On up to people who've been artists for 50 plus years.
Oh yeah.
So, and when the submissions come in for it, I create a file for Dave in this case. And so I put I number the image and put the title, the medium, and the dimensions, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they come in, no one's like spread around. You'll come in a block. Maybe this person submitted 2 pieces, the next person submitted 5, but the judges can always tell this is the same artist, and then they kind of, I'm guessing, look at their body of work, say from those 5 pieces that they could tell, and then get a feel for what they're doing and make, this is Dave's process. I'll kick it to Dave. And then we had 112 pieces submitted and 84 were juried in. And then, they came in last Saturday, some of them a few days earlier, and we got the show hung. Dave and I did the show on Sunday.
So all 84 of those pieces are hung.
Yeah, everything's done.
Perfect.
You know, 2D and 3D work. It's all up, and then
Nice.
it's another half a day just putting the tags on everything.
I can imagine.
You know, and then it's all set up, and then Dave clears his head, and then comes in the next day and has his own process for deciding, you know,
Nice.
what he's going to award. And last year we started doing 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional awards. You know, you've got the best in show, and then first, second, and third, 2D and 3D,
Right.
which was kind of a leap of faith. You know, that's
I think
a
it
lot
was,
more award money to give out, but
I think it was worth it.
yeah,
I think it was
I do
worth it.
too. It's nice. Well, it's nice to separate those 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional pieces before they were all in the same soup.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
it's nice to be able to identify that. And there's a couple of honorable mentions too. You'll do an honorable mention, 2D and
Yeah.
3D. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he mentioned something about you clearing your head. If you have any advice on how to do that, please talk to me after the show. I'm not good at
Pipe
that.
cleaners, you know, they go all the way through.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, one thing I've seen that I love about this, and I've met a couple of the artists. Well, I know a lot of the artists that are being juried into this. But over the last couple of years, I've known a couple of them that going into it, they're like, "Wow, I can't believe I actually got accepted into this. I'm not an artist. I'm a person who makes art. You know, kind of here and there." Then after the show, they come out of that show saying, "Oh my goodness, I'm an artist. That's who I am." And I love seeing that sort of light bulb go off that, you know, everybody else knows they're an artist, but sometimes it takes that recognition. It takes winning an award for them to really fully be like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm going to do with my life now.
Yeah, you know, I like to say that there's a quote by Joseph Beuys, who was a post-World War II German artist, and he said that everyone's an artist. Some people are better painters. So it doesn't matter what people are doing in their lives. They can live their lives as an artist. And so when these people that eventually get to some visual art and make a piece and then submit it and then come to the conclusion, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
It's actually a beautiful thing to watch.
You know, it took me a really long time because I don't paint. I don't draw. You know, I don't write. Well, I do write more than I'd like, but, you know, and I'm not a great musician, but then I realized, you know, I'm a tinkerer. And sometimes, you know, making stuff out of random things out of electronics or, you know, being
It's
able
an
to
art,
fix something
dude.
or,
Yeah.
being able to create audio that sounds great.
Yeah.
You know, it is an art. And it's sometimes it really takes a good look at yourself to really figure out, you know, oh my gosh, the things that I'm doing are art. And art is such a broad spectrum. It's
I
so hard
think
to
you can
categorize.
Yeah.
do anything to the point where it becomes artful,
Mm-hmm.
where it, you know, you think, okay, that this person, you know, we're doing ceramics, but let's say, or whatever, but at some point things gel, they click.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the level of craft is so intense that it's transformed into something else altogether, and that's kind of that moment where a lot of things become, a person really becomes an artist on that, whatever that is
Absolutely.
that they're doing.
You know, I think that no matter what you do, when you realize that it's an art, that you're actually doing it, it gives you another wave of confidence to continue to be more creative, and it builds on itself. That's what I believe.
Well, you know, I had a moment that was just almost a life-changing moment with a friend of mine. Phenomenal videographer. You know, he edits film. He's a musician. And I would tell him, like, man, you're such an amazing musician. He was a mechanic. He is still a mechanic as his day job. And I'm like, man, you could really, you know, get out of that day job and really make some money doing what you're doing in art. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I am an artist. And I'm like, well, yeah, but, you know, you could not do your day job. And he's like, no, my day job, what I do, what I work with on cars, that's my art. That's, you know, that's beautiful to me. Taking a piece of junk and restructuring it and making it work, that's my art. That's what I do. And
Problem solving.
Yeah, and it just made me reframe, you know, the whole. That was sort of the beginning of reframing what exactly art is and what art means to you. You know, and I think that was just a big a wake up moment. You know,
Yeah.
Whatever you do, if you do it well, if you love it, that's your art.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, contractors, construction, even that. I mean, building stuff out of the wood. Come on, man. That's an art form.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, even framing. You know, that's an incredible amount of skill and artistry involved in that. So I want to hear. So we talked a little, Dave, about your background in education and teaching art. How about you as an artist? What's some of your background in that?
Well, my early career, I when I went to the university, I became an entomologist, and then I studied toxicology, and I worked as a toxicologist for a place called Environmental Labs, expediting USDA grants on poisons, pesticides, herbicides. Mm-hmm. And I did that for a few years, and then I felt like it wasn't the direction that I wanted to go in. Mm-hmm. And I went back to school and got an MFA in painting. So I started out as this Western trained scientist. I ended up being this kind of visual artist and instructor. Along the way, I had a bunch of kids and was married a couple of times. And so my work, the way I generally paint now, I have been in some sculpture shows before, so I know 3D form quite well. But my pieces are, I don't know. They're, I'm going to tell a little story here. I don't know how much time we have.
We got plenty of time.
Okay. So years ago, I was living in San Diego, and I was not a known artist at all. And I had a gallery there that had sold a piece and offered me a solo exhibition a year later. And I did all these pieces. I tried as hard as I could to be profound, to be deep, because I always felt like art needed to have a reason to exist. And sometimes
got to make you think.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the ultimate reasons. But I wanted to make change in society, and I spent months working on this body of work, and then I had one of my artist friends come in and look at it, and he spread them all out, and there were about 30, and he looked at them, he said, "These are dumb." That was Roberto Salas, who's a well-known Chicano artist in San Diego and Mexico, and I'm like, and everybody's like, "Oh God, that must have really hurt," and I'm like, well, it was true. I realized he was correct, and it caused me to go into kind of a deep thought process. Now, I had this show coming up that all these pieces were supposed to go into, and I threw them all away. I just tossed them in a dumpster. I just tossed them.
Wow.
And I had a few days to think about it, and it's like, this is my professional show. This is my coming out show for whatever, and I better do something good. And I started thinking that
something that's not dumb.
I had tried. Well, check this out. So I had tried to be profound, and they ended up being dumb.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what would happen if I just did the absolute 100% dumbest thing I possibly could? Might it become profound? Because in reverse, it's like I tried to be smart, I ended up dumb. If I try to be dumb, maybe I'll end up smart.
Right.
And so I started doing what I didn't think I should do. How big should they be? Well, they should be 20 by 30. Well, then I'm going to make them 8 feet tall. What color should I use? Well, I should use those, so I use these.
Yeah.
I was in a produce section of a grocery store on Balboa Avenue, and I came across an apple that had spots on it, and the spots kind of formed this face, like pareidolia is when you make sense of chaos and see images in a mess. And it was like a kind of a religious face, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint fruit heads. So I went to my studio, stretched giant canvases, started painting these great big stupid fruit heads, painted them with skill and color theory and composition. But I did what I didn't think I should do, and I developed this little theory about the circle of absolutism that says anything pushed far in one direction can become its opposite. Left-wing politics, right-wing. Pleasure becomes pain. Pain becomes pleasure. The spontaneous becomes contrived. So there's a lot of ways of looking at this. Sounds like pop psychology, but anyway.
Everything meets around back at the beginning eventually.
Right.
Right.
And so I did these gigantic, dumb paintings, and they became profound. There's a fruit head right there.
Right there. It's not very clear, but there it is right there. If you're watching on video.
Yeah. So the gallery director, I showed up with these big dumb fruit heads, and she was expecting the quote unquote profound pieces. They were probably kind of profound. I don't know. Yeah. She was really upset. And and we were hanging in them. This is a long story. She was like a professional beach volleyball player, and she was about 7 feet tall, and she'd wear these spike heels, so she's very intimidating. And she had a very foul mouth, and she was yelling at me when I brought these paintings in. And then a knock came at the door, and she opened the door, and it was one of her big patrons, the former owner of Bumblebee Tuna. And he walked in and said, "Are these Dave's new paintings?" And she said, "Yes. Can you believe it?" And he said, "Are any sold?" And she said, "No." He goes, "I want that one. I want that one. I want that one." And the look on her face was like, "Oh, this is his new body of work. Isn't it absolutely wonderful?"
Of course.
So, that's now Tim as a gallery owner is not like that.
Right?
That's why we're buddies. Also, the fact that he's probably the best skier I ever ski with. Well, ouch. It's true.
Why do you have to? There are so many good skiers.
No. Dude, I've skied with the Mare twins.
Stop.
Wow.
Stop.
Okay. And my brother, who's really good too. But
I'm an old man who likes skiing. That's all.
okay,
Let's
we'll
leave it
get
at
off
that.
of this. Just
Okay.
let me
Thank
say
you.
what.
Thank you.
I once sat at a bar seat next to Tommy Moe. Does that count as skiing? Yeah.
Okay, there's a little osmotic thing that happens.
Beer faster than
Right?
Tommy Moe.
I don't know if I could do that.
But anyway, so back to the story, and that was these pieces were very profound and they were deep, and they, it made my career, and I still do paint some ridiculous things, but I call them big dumb fruit heads, and some of them are 18 by 10 feet, some are 9 by 16 feet. They're gigantic on canvas.
Yeah.
And so
He does smaller ones.
I
too.
do smaller
We have
pieces.
some smaller ones.
Yeah.
Right on.
The 9 by 16 doesn't fit in that gallery space. So, and I've maxed out a lot of credit cards buying art supplies too. So
Oh, I can imagine.
yeah, but in those days I was selling everything. So
How much would a 9 by 16 canvas cost you just for the canvas alone?
depends. Back in the day, it was like $180 for that big of a piece, but now it's probably 3 times that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then the paint itself, and I use expensive paint, so the paint's several $100, and if I build or buy stretcher bars for it, there's a few more $100, and if I have to build a crate for it and ship it, there's a few $1,000s, and la. So I do limit my size lately, just
Right.
because what do you do with that many paintings if you're not selling them?
Exactly.
So, but I've sold a bunch to museums, so there's a few out there, the big ones.
Nice.
Yeah, didn't you sell one of the bigger ones to like the San Diego Museum? What was that?
Museum of Contemporary Art, but also California Center for the Arts has one that's 10 by 18 feet.
Wow.
And they probably have it stored somewhere, and it hasn't seen the light of day in 20 years. I don't know. But in fact, I hope someone's listening and requests to see it at some point. But
Well, I have seen your art hung on the wall. I've seen it in the gallery there, and I love it. It definitely stands out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say profound, because it really gets you looking at the details and your lines. You have these wonderful soft lines. They're obviously their faces, they're character like, but they're just so organic in the way you painted them. They almost look like computer images. They almost don't look real.
yeah, well, I paint in kind of bodies series, so there's the fruit heads, and I'm known for painting fish too. Some of them are large, 4 by 8 feet, and some larger. But there's something about fish form that I just absolutely love. I have a whole bunch of fish tattoos all over my body.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just started doing that when my mom couldn't tell me that I couldn't get a tattoo. So anyway, there are bodies of things that I paint. I'm working on a new group of paintings right now that should be pretty interesting, and I think if I can talk Tim into letting me have a show here in a couple of years, you'll be able to see him up here.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with a I should know his name. He was in Alaska. He was a pretty prolific artist. I know he did like T-shirts and stuff of funny fish.
Oh,
was it
yeah.
Gary Troll?
Yeah,
Ray-
Ray Troll.
Ray
Yeah.
Troll. That's
Yeah.
who it was. Yeah. I grew up. I grew up in Wasilla, Alaska, and he was one of our locals.
Yeah, now he's a
Yeah.
really good buddy of Roberto Salas, who's the guy
Okay.
who said that my paintings were dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was I grew up, in middle school. I remember I had like 10 of his T-shirts, and I would cut see a magazine with his stuff. I would cut it out because it just made me laugh. It was hilarious, and reminded me of my favorite book series. He did. Gosh, now I can't remember the author's name either. He did like how to don't shoot a gift horse and a bunch of. He was another Alaskan artist that kind of made it big, but. I think he was the voice of the guy that does the motel. We'll leave the light on for you commercials.
Oh yeah.
Tom Bodett.
Yeah. Tom Bodett. His books. He did a series of comedy books, and a bunch of them were about like fish and life in Alaska. And yeah.
Well, Dave also, this is our 10th anniversary. It was.
Yes.
We reached our 10th anniversary in January, and Dave, I remember February of 2016. Dave was the first artist to give an art talk. Oh,
nice.
And at the I went in and asked the brewery boys, and they were all down with it then, and so that started it. And I just kind of wanted to establish that as I've had a few artists that I can't talk in front of people, and. But
I hear that all the time in this room.
Can I say something about that?
For the most part, they all do now. So
yeah,
I don't like speaking in public. I've been anxious. I've been anxious about tonight for a few weeks. And the great part about tonight will be when it's over and we get to go back to the gallery and hang out and talk to people face to face. But standing up in front of people and talking is anxiety producing for many people. Yeah.
It was never my thing. I hated speech, but I just decided, I just have to get up and do this. If this is what I want to do, then I have to. And I don't generally prepare anything. Well, in this case, I've got a bio for Dave.
Right.
Because there was just a lot of information. And I'm sure if I just tried to wing it, I'd forget a bunch of stuff.
I got to say that first talk, I have photos of it on my Instagram still.
I have it on our Trails In Gallery.
My Instagram is Fruit Man Do, if anyone wants to go check them out.
Nice.
And it was mostly the Chewelah Arts Guild, I think, was there. Sumach's dad was there. I mean, there's pictures of people in the audience that are.
We had maybe 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good showing.
Not quite the standing room only it is today.
No, well, I mean, even still today, sometimes you just don't, you don't get a lot of people. But when you have, in this show, there are 36 artists. So if 36 artists, not all of them can make it, but let's just say a third of them make it. Right. They usually bring their family in tow and friends. Mm-hmm. And then we have our regular crowd here of people, a lot of them are in the guild or creative district or chamber, or just long time, they just support the gallery. And that's, you got a good chance that tonight will be a packed house.
Well, and to kind of go back to this fear of speaking, I think a little healthy anxiety is good. It kind of keeps you on your toes and keeps you, keeps that energy level up. I've always experienced, I've never had like theater. I've never had that fear. I've never had stage fright, except for one time with my mandolin. I was on stage playing, and that, because it wasn't something I was very comfortable with, I got stage. And it was a horrible experience. The only time in my life I've ever had stage fright. But it's sometimes, I think it's goes the other way when you can just, I'll just go up on stage. I don't care. And then you get up there and you have no idea, and you just ramble and look like an idiot. And that's what I do often. I just go up there and just like, I don't need to prepare anything. I'll be fine. And I go up there and I realize, I have no idea what I'm going to say. So, yeah, I do that a lot.
I just stand up and open my mouth, and it just goes.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the process for jurying. What's your process for this?
Well, because it's a group show, very eclectic. So we'll have like artists that are young in their art producing careers, and we have people up there of a professional level. So I try to look at everything very objectively, and there's like transparent watercolors, there's opaque acrylic painters, there's abstractionists, there's super realists, there's scratch boards and just all sorts of different mediums, bronzes, ceramic sculptural constructions. So I'm trying to look at them all in a very objective, even-handed way. I don't care if they're professional or not, and it's difficult. Now, I have spent hours working through this, and when I juried the show, I spent hours just deciding, because you're bumping a piece out and you're thinking, wait a minute, is that the piece that I want to bump, or do I want to bump that one? Like what's, and also, I'm a nice person. I don't want to hurt feelings. These artists, especially in their younger career, put their heart and soul into this, and they take it personally if you push a piece out or you don't give it an award.
Or you tell them their art's dumb.
I would never say that.
I know.
I only call my own work dumb. And when I do call it dumb, people go, no, it's not dumb. They like come to rescue me a little bit. And I say, well, yeah, when I'm saying it's dumb, I don't mean like it's stupid. It's more like innocent dumb.
Yeah.
And therefore kind of profound.
I do think Big Dumb Fruit Head is like a great tagline. You should market that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the title of some of my pieces. It's kind of a catch-all. But like, I don't know if Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot, there's kind of these that are kind of dumb but profound stories out there, and they're deep and rich, and you can make your own ending up before you even get there. And I think that's what some of my paintings are about. But back to jurying.
Yeah.
And I've been around Chewelah. I've been skiing 49 for 20-something years. I don't know when we first came up here. And
20 years.
And I've loved Chewelah, and I've gotten to know people, and I've gotten to see people's work. And there's a few artists that are in the show right now that I've seen their paintings evolve over 10, 15 years. And,
or from the first year.
Well,
maybe if they're from Portland or whatever.
Yeah, when I first saw them to now, and like I'm filled with joy because I see them improving and getting better. Now, I'm not the know-all, tell-all of art. Now, I've got a lot of experience. I was a gallery director at 3 major universities. I worked at all the museums in San Diego and Balboa Park. I've been a preparator. I've curated shows. I've judged and juried shows. I've been to hundreds of museums. I've seen thousands of galleries. I've probably seen millions of pieces of artwork, and each one I kind of remember. Right. And I'm kind of keeping that in my database, like, how is this working? The composition, color, form, value, pattern, texture, medium, scale, all of these things combined. You can see how complicated this is when you look at one piece and you think of all the things you've seen and what was most successful. And I'm going to say, very often people will say good and bad. I prefer to say resolved or unresolved.
Yeah.
And like, what can this young artist do to better, bring this piece to resolution? Well, add this, subtract that, add this, stretch it, make it bigger, make it smaller, make it oval, make it, play with the form, the space, and all of the aspects of its medium. And I also teach drawing for comics, and I know a bunch of comic book artists very well. And so there's a certain contemporary pop surrealism that kind of works its way into my vision too.
Right.
And sometimes you see a young artist doing something. Like, imagine, some of the most beautiful drawings I've ever seen were done by people less than 5 years old. And so I have to look for that innocence too. But now all of the artists in this show, we're all mature, experienced people. We've lived lives. We have our own database about what we can pull from to draw and paint or sculpt or make out of ceramics. But I still like the innocence, the innocent mark too, as well as, boy, there's some fine pieces in this show. Now, what I was going to say was during the judging of the awards, I have a list, and I'm going to read this list to everybody at the opening tonight of the people that I was seriously considering for Best in Show. The list is huge. It's like 30 pieces. And how many pieces in the show? 85 or
there's 84.
84. Yeah. And so more than half the show is being considered for Best in Show because they are that good. So for one to bubble to the surface and me to say Best in Show, is, there's resolution involved. There's historical precedence. There's a whole bunch of things that go into me choosing the best of show for second, third, and honorable mention.
Well, I would mention that's tough, because you have to look at everything objectively. And how do you objectively look, at art? And I'm sure teaching art for a long time has really given you sort of an eye to where you can sort of look past, your average person walking through a gallery and be like, whoa, this is amazing. Whoa,
well,
this is
amazing.
amazing.
A subjective process.
Yeah.
But you can break it down, it seems,
it
to objective
eventually,
elements.
It eventually will become a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's like, is their craft working? Do they understand their medium? Do they know composition? Do they know color, texture, form, pattern, all that stuff? And so it gets to this level, and then you have to make a choice from these. It's like a pot of stew that's simmering, and there's bubbles coming up, and pretty soon you notice the entire surface of the soup is covered in a froth, and you have to choose one bubble. They've all come up,
Right.
and you're like, well, that one. So sometimes subjective, it becomes personal preference, and I will also say that I am subject to bribery.
Okay.
But I didn't tell anybody in Chuila this.
What's your favorite snack?
But the pieces that were chosen as awards, there was a number that could have fit in some of those slots that I couldn't give more awards. I told Tim, I said, can I give 100 awards? And he said, no, we don't have the budget. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Arts Guild, we just can't afford it.
Right.
So I'm saying this to all the artists who may be listening. It's like, I just wasn't able to choose your piece. It bubbled up on top. It was part of the froth, but it wasn't the bubble that was tallest, maybe.
Well, and I know you mentioned the sort of the innocence, and I'm really drawn personally to stuff that's a little more playful, a little more whimsical, stuff that maybe, depending on how you look at it, might not be as serious as some other works, but that's really up to the beholder. And I find that a lot of that with music as well. A lot of the music I like isn't the stuff that I would even play on the radio here. A lot of it's a little more raw, a little more innocent, a little more naive, I guess. Stuff that's not quite as polished, and that's sort of what draws me in is stuff that's a little rough around the edges. And
like you said, eye of the beholder. I have a little pet peeve about this because beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is a truth, and you may not have the ability to recognize it. Just like good music.
Right.
Now, the more you study music, the more you understand it, the more you appreciate it, the more you can say, oh my gosh, that piece of classical music that my dad used to play that I thought sucked so bad because I want to hear Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Now I'm like, holy moly, that piece is deep and profound and beautiful. And I would say the same thing about visual art. I can remember back in the day where I couldn't stand Picasso. I just, Picasso and Bronx Cubism, it didn't make sense to me. I just thought it was an art world joke, and there are art world jokes out there. And the more I studied it and looked into it and understood it, now I think that Picasso is the greatest artist that ever lived.
Right.
And people say, really? Better than whatever, Da Vinci? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, show me another painter. Now, contemporary-wise, Gerhard Richter is my favorite painter. But again, Picasso, I go back to him as the greatest that's ever lived.
Matisse was his favorite artist.
Yeah.
And
are there
Picasso
people
said in the end, there's only Matisse.
Are there people out there that don't take Picasso's work seriously?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I grew up with that being, one of the examples of the great, classics. I can't.
Now, I love Matisse, but I don't believe everything that Picasso said was true. Sorry.
No, it's just I'm just saying.
I know, I'm teasing
that was
you.
his, statement. Whether I assume he would stand on that one and not just
I'm teasing you.
Yeah.
said it, made a rhetorical statement.
So Tim, I've brought my screen. Can you see my screen over there?
I can.
All right. So
God, you look great.
he's Tim always looks good. So let's go through some of these. You sent me some images.
Yes.
Is there any? Does it matter which order we go through?
Not
or do you
really.
want to just kind of talk about them?
All
All right, so we're gonna bring one up here. This is, oh my, that's gorgeous. I
This
hadn't,
is a really cool piece.
yeah, I hadn't really looked at some of these before. Of course, keep in mind the people listening on the radio can't see what we're talking about. Only the people watching online. So
It's a two-dimensional piece, but it's the art. This particular style of art is called kimikomi, and it's a Japanese style. And they actually started doing it with dolls, and then it grew as a technique, and here it's being applied as on a two-dimensional surface, and it's basically the art of tucking fabric.
yeah, I've seen this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
where they basically use like a foam, right, like a base.
They
and
can use a
tuck-
foam, they can use wood, but obviously they're going to have to create the cleft or whatever to tuck the fabric down in. But it's a tour de force of that. I can't say that I've seen much of this style before,
I mean,
but the piece is undeniable. It's really beautifully done.
and the more you look into it, the more each of these little swatches. If if you can check out our Facebook video later, or you can go check this out directly in the gallery.
Yeah, and she got her degree in painting, and so
Oh, wow.
she got exposed to this process and is just over the moon with it.
But even just,
you
I
know.
mean, if we the pics, it kind of gets pixelated here, but just
Yeah.
the tiny little detail work in this.
Yeah, no, it's just the color theory, and just
Yeah, I know my wife has played around a little bit with his art style, and it's a, you think, oh, we'll just cut the lines and tuck the fabric in. It's not as easy as it seems.
I do it every morning when I put my shirt on and tuck it into my
Right?
pants. But it's not quite as beautiful as
I feel the same. You got to get everything in the folds. I
yeah.
guess
You
that's
fold
more
it
me than
in,
you.
tuck it, and it's get it just right.
All right, so what are we looking at here? Oh, is that an encaustic piece?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh wow. So what are we looking at here?
go ahead.
They're speechless.
Amber Semenza.
Amber Semenza.
Amber
Yes,
Semenza.
Yes.
And it's encaustic, so it's oil pigment mixed with wax and then heated and painted on, and so it's got a fairly three-dimensional surface to it, even though it's a two-dimensional piece. And there's a lot of references that are art historical in here, medieval, the halo, a lot of iconography. A lot of medieval paintings included animals too. So I don't remember one that's got a cat in it particularly, but like a lot of other animals are often in these paintings. And then there's an artist that was kind of Art Nouveau, Art Deco-y time, and that was Klimt, Gustav Klimt. So I think Amber has taken imagery and kind of brought it into her own painting and made it her own.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a reference and an honor of past artists and movements here. And I love that about this piece.
But really made something unique.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that
it's a
struck
cool
me is
piece.
it does have that very classical feel with the woman and some of those, that like you said, the imagery. But then like there's that modern sort of background that's really got those, rounded shapes, and it's a great mix,
And the
I
use
think, of the two.
like the gold, kind of an iridescent metallic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful painting.
No, in caustic work, it's wax, but and it is where they actually paint with a pigmented wax, correct? They're not painting and then covering it with wax.
Right.
It's an actual
mixed.
So there's no paint underneath it. The wax itself is the colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to say too, it's got a lot of skill. You have to get good at it. It's not like I'm going to be an encaustic painter tomorrow. You got to work at this. So this is actually an excellent piece. And I got to say, because of the surface being a little bit bumpy, they're difficult to get a really good photo of in an uncontrolled environment. So this piece in reality is much richer and deeper and more beautiful than even this photo shows.
Well, I can imagine manipulating the wax has got to be that just has to take a ton of practice, and just knowing where that wax is going to be and what it's going to do.
And to that end too, when you really want people to submit the best image they can, max pixels, just for review.
Right.
You're sending the piece. Now, judge is going to look at this. You crop it to subject only, and you just really hope that the if Dave wants to blow it up and go to a specific area and it's only 300 DPI, then
Right.
you've kind of blown it there, even though that piece could be amazing in person. So
if you're an artist, get yourself a good camera and a
it's
softbox.
It's worth really taking the time to photograph correctly. You don't have to send a raw image, but if you just send a large image, that's probably minimum 1200 DPI or more per side, then it's gonna show pretty well for review.
Yeah.
And the new digital cameras you can actually take a photograph or a pic of a piece and adjust it a little bit, just so long as it looks like the piece, that's okay. But like I can shoot in super low light and bring it back up and make it look like it's, in a photo studio.
Yeah.
So there are ways of doing it that are less expensive than renting a photography studio.
Yeah. Or maybe so get yourself a decent camera, a light box, and take some lessons.
Yeah.
Or Google it.
Oh yeah, Google it. Go
Yeah.
online. There's tutorials about how to take photos of your art all over the place, and I highly recommend everybody go look at that.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I should.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at what we got next here. Oh, I love such
This
bright,
is-
bold colors.
This is
I love
Karen
that.
Starkey,
Yeah.
and she's a local artist now, and I know that she taught at like Columbia Basin Community College.
That's where my mom went to school.
And she's here now in Chewelah, and it's just a really, well, Dave can talk about it.
Well, this piece is one of the larger pieces in the show. I don't remember, 40 inches tall, something like
It's
that.
36 by 20 or
Okay.
something like that.
And I looked at it a lot today. The colors are just. This is one of those paintings where I wouldn't do this, but I want to go up and taste it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's going to taste good. When you lick
yeah.
that thing, but don't catch me doing that.
No licking the artwork.
No licking the artwork. Tim's got to put signs up to remind people not to do that.
But don't tell you not to lick the artwork.
Yeah, well, I'm the juror. I
have
got
to
to taste
experience
it, each one, But this is a very tasty painting to me. I mean, it's got an orange in it, maybe a cup of hot chocolate or coffee or something.
Man, I'm thinking like chai tea, maybe like a nice.
Yeah, maybe it's a chai tea.
Maybe
You're
with
right.
some cream in
It's
there.
pretty artsy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the little wooden handled spoon, the pencil and the package of seeds. It's just a very sensitive, beautiful piece.
And I love the leaves that have fallen on the table off the flowers. That's a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an issue, I'm maybe not tasting the artwork, but, especially like in caustic pieces, fabric pieces, I want to touch them.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
I just want to touch. I know I can't. I know you shouldn't touch them, but I really just want to touch them and feel it. That's why I have a hard time when we do the quilt show. I have a hard time going through that quilt show because every quilt has a sign on there: "Do not touch the quilts." Especially the fabric textile art. It's just begging to be touched. It needs to be touched, and you can't touch it. So.
Yeah.
Some people are more tactile than others,
Yeah.
but I think all of us in this room, we want to feel and touch and taste and
Smell.
and see and smell. Yeah. One last thing I wanted to say about this painting, the perspective of it, because when you're painting a still life, generally your perspective is going to be a little bit lower. This is kind of a bird's eye view in a way, and I personally love ellipses, like the ellipse of the coffee mug, the ellipse of the orange, the spoon semi-ellipse. There's just something about this view, this perspective of the still life that she's taken to paint that I really love.
So it gives you dimension.
Yeah.
You have a reference point. You've got flat. You've got a sphere.
This
even
to
gonna
me
mention her.
screams. This was somebody sitting at the table, and this is the moment they stood up. That's
Yeah.
what I get out of this. Like,
Yeah.
like
it's
they're
still,
standing up and looking down
it's
at the
still
table.
exaggerated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
One thing too, I love her use of cast shadows in here.
yeah.
So cast shadow under the spoon, cast shadow
Yeah.
under the petal of the flower, the cast shadow of the pencil and the orange and the cup. So
like that afternoon sun coming in. It's really
Yeah.
bright. Yeah, I love that. All right, let's take a look at what we have next here. Oh, my favorite this is a
Quail. Really nice little piece, little 12 by 12 by Linnea Tobias. And
Nope.
she had entered in last year's Winterfest, and I know we sold at least one of her pieces. But they're nicely done.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I love quail as well. It's a beautiful piece. She did the cardinal
Yes.
too. That
Yeah.
they hang next to each other in the gallery, and I really enjoy the cardinal too.
I can't think of a bird that has more personality than a quail.
Yeah,
Right?
Especially when they walk.
So what I'm looking at
goofy.
here is, am I seeing like many different techniques? Is this something overlaid over the top, and then some stamps
It's just,
eh,
maybe?
She's just, it looks to me in her composition that she's, introduced pattern and color
And she plays with the
it's-
opaqueness of the the leaves and some of the components.
well, look at the
in a really
lines
fun way.
on the branches.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool, that was an interesting
Yeah,
ad.
from this image, I can't really tell. It looks almost like collage mixed with paint.
It's
but
all
I
paint.
can't
It's all
really tell.
paint.
It's all paint.
It's all
Okay,
painted. Yeah.
very clean lines that's separating the different images. Though it's
Yeah,
really
I love
striking.
the transparency of all those things and the layering of it, and then
Mhm.
you've got that opaque branch that they're standing on. So it's kind of playing with depth of field and perception
Yes,
about
yes.
what is this? Well, we know that the quail are up front, but what else is going on in this background? It's a little bit cosmic to me.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
Yeah.
the background is very softly blurred.
Yeah.
The focus are the birds. And it's just an interesting piece.
Oh yeah.
I
So-
liked it. It was so colorful.
So this next one here, I recognize this
Yes.
artist, one of my good
Chris
friend of mine, one of my
Davis.
favorite artists.
Yeah.
No, the work that she's a wire wrap artist, but I really hesitate saying that because people get preconceived notions of what wire wrapping is.
Well,
she goes way beyond that.
see, I mean, that's the technique. But on
Yeah.
this one, she's also a lapidary artist. She
Mhm.
cut that stone. And when I look at a piece like this, I would say she's a jeweler. She created
Yeah.
jewelry. And her technique was cutting her own stone and then this just off the charts wire wrapping. And it's not like, the hippie stuff that
No,
that we think, and used to wrap crystals and stuff. This is a really over the top technique that she has. I
Mastered.
I haven't seen anything like this before,
no, I've never seen anyone do
Yeah.
work with wire the way she does.
and I just think it makes a really beautiful, unique piece.
It really does. And I almost, a lot of her work, I almost get kind of like the steampunk vibe from a lot of her work. Just this sort of with the raw copper, and I just
I
love
can
it.
see that.
Yeah.
There's an element.
It's organic, but it's also visceral, it's mechanical almost, but in a way that it doesn't look like a human being is capable of doing what she does with wire.
Yeah, when you see these in real life, because they're substantially smaller than I'm seeing on the screen.
Mhm.
In fact, this is the largest I've seen them. I love seeing all of the little wires and wraps and twists, and I'm thinking I would love to see one of these really big, like hanging on a wall somewhere, like a sculpture piece, because this is wearable art, so it has
Yeah.
to be lighter so that you don't like strain your neck while you're wearing that pendant, but.
She's done bigger ones,
Yeah.
but I think for me personally, I think, and maybe because I'm a jeweler and a sculptor, but I think it fits with the scale of her work.
Mhm.
That would be a large piece of jewelry, kind of coming from my side of things.
Well, when I say
But they're
larger, I
really
don't mean
fun.
jewelry. I mean like
Sculptural.
a sculptural form.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Like a public art
Yeah.
piece out
Yeah.
in the middle of a park, just a giant one of those. It would be like-
Scaled.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I can
that'd
see
be
that.
crazy.
I've
Yeah.
seen her
Wow.
do some stuff that's probably at least a foot tall.
Yeah.
standing up off the table
Yeah.
where it's just kind of jumping out to life
Well,
at you.
things that you would hang on a wall,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
All right,
Yeah.
so we only got a few minutes left, so
Okay.
let's rush through some of these last ones.
Who's
There you
that?
go.
There's
Oh,
Davey.
that's
There's Mr.
me.
David.
Yep.
All right, so let's see.
There's a few more gallery picks.
Yeah. So we got some shots there. Oh, I love the the close-ups of the flowers. What kind of flowers are those? Are those?
I was thinking echinacea, but I don't know.
Okay.
That was my guess too.
Yeah. Nice.
Got
I'm not a
Margot
botanist.
Setti's work on top. Those two watercolors.
Oh,
Very,
gorgeous.
yeah,
very nicely done.
The one on the left, the upper left, it's one of my favorite transparent watercolor paintings I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I can't wait to get a closer look at it. There we go.
And here's my second favorite, the two trout, the lower left one by
Gloria Fox.
Gloria Fox, yeah. Trout for two. And people that are seeing this online or whatever, they got to come in and see these paintings up close because they
There's just a lot
and
of
then
nice.
there's Gail Johannes, that
work.
pastel.
the
that,
pastel on
I
the left
love
middle.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the sort of blurry kind of foggy
Yeah,
morning
it's just
on the
really
pond.
soft.
Fall. I can't remember the title of it, but
I love that. All right, what do we have next here? I lost track of where
that
I am.
might-
There we
that
go.
might be it. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah.
There's.
I talked a little bit about how some of the more whimsical art gets me. Chicken art. I don't know what it is. I love chickens. I love art involving chickens.
Yeah, that's
what-
a Kim Long piece there, who's really been a fan favorite in our gallery, to say the least.
One of my favorite art stories involves a woman who bought like about a 6 foot tall chicken sculpture and put it in front of her door and rang the doorbell and had her husband open the door to this giant multi-$1,000 chicken sculpture she had just purchased with a caption underneath it that I can't say on the air. Yeah, it was.
can you whisper?
Knock knock. Something that
Who's there?
Yeah. Well, it was knock knock. Something that Samuel Jackson would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Something about your mom. I don't know. All right, so that just about does it for the photos we have, and that
Okay.
does it for the time
Well,
we have for today. Yeah, and I got a Winterfest meeting to go to. Speaking of, so yeah, you can check out everything here at the gallery. You're going to have a soft opening tonight, correct?
We always do afterwards.
Yeah.
There's people that maybe that are traveling and can't do 2 nights in a row, and I don't, I get it.
Like me.
But it's nice to have it at the brewery because I like to have people to be able to sit, and the way we set it up, it kind of funnels to that focal point, and they can accommodate. And it would be difficult to have an award ceremony in the gallery. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just the way we do it.
And remind us again where and when the award ceremony is.
It's at Quartzsite Brewery on West Main in Chewelah, and 6:30 to 8 o'clock.
All right.
And with the soft open
Tonight.
to follow tonight. And then tomorrow, 5 to 8 p.m., will be our opening show there at Trails Inn Gallery. You've got Becky Goforth will be at the Yale Press,
Nice.
and Tracy Spain will be at the brewery.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And of course, on Saturday during Winterfest, you can go in and check all that out.
Yeah.
There's going to be live music
Yeah,
downtown.
noon to 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, go in there, swing.
The
swing.
all-town event.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's going to be over 50 different vendors. It's an insane amount of vendors this time
Wow.
around. Live music inside the beer garden, so it won't get so cold after dark.
Yeah.
There's going to be bingo, a chili cook-off. So if you're interested in bringing by your chili, I do believe there's still time to get entered in that. Tim, you going to bring some chili?
No. No.
Not a chili guy,
How about no?
right?
Scotty?
There's going to be a pottery demonstration, bingo in the Aaron Huff Memorial Center. Bradley's Taekwondo is going to have vendors inside their location
Oh, okay.
as well as the reindeer games where you can fire some darts at some children. It's a.
I didn't know you guys did that up here.
It's as fun as it
Interesting.
sounds.
Hey, one last thing I forgot to mention that Thursday, tomorrow, from 3 to 5, I'm going to be in the gallery, and people
cool.
are welcome. Artists can come in and talk to me about their work, and so I'm just going to be sitting around talking to people if they want to come in.
Outstanding.
And hopefully it'll be the artists. I mean,
Yeah, that's what we're
there's
gearing
probably
for.
only- you probably only have so much time to chat with people about their work. But
Oh yeah.
But if I get
think that'll
tired,
be
I'll
fun.
leave.
And also
Going over for some Thai.
Oh yeah, and also don't forget on Saturday live music we have the Veterans Pride Band, we have Old Souls and Antiques rounding things out in the middle of the day, and then the end of the night our closing band is Peach Fuzz and the Power Chill. They sent us a fun little gif of their artwork of their selves, their smiling faces. These are a sort of a funk, a little bit of funk, a little bit of reggae. They throw a little stank on it, and really, really, really a fun, incredibly engaging band to listen to. They put on a great show. They really work the audience.
Okay.
As you can tell by this image, if you're looking online, they're a lot of fun. So I want to thank you guys for coming today.
All right.
Thank you.
Do you have any words of wisdom
honor.
before we go?
Nope. Come to the brewery.
Outstanding. All right.
Keep
well,
working.
Thank you for supporting art in Chewelah. I do want
Absolutely.
to say that. Yes.
Absolutely. Well,
Always.
This has been About the Arts
Yeah.
right here on KCHW 102.7. We want to thank everyone out there for listening. We want to thank you guys for coming in, and I hope to see everyone out there.
Thank you, Chuck.
So say goodbye,
Yeah,
everybody.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Peace.
All right. Let's do this here.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.